Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome to today's session. Today I'll be talking about verse 6 and 7 of Sikshastakam. And here we will be going to the next phase in the mood as, being instructed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers, and before that, please join us for Guru Pranati and Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshutarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatadaham Vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girdharidhari Gopi Jana Kṛṣṇa, dear devotees. Welcome to today's session, where we will be talking about the 6th and 7th verses of Shri Sikshastakam. So, in the very first verse, for those who may want to capture what are the first 5 verses about, I am quickly covering them. The first verse, in the first verse, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is covering the 7 blessings. And before that, Shri Sikshastakam. Shiksha means instructions or knowledge, and Ashtakam means 8. So these are 8 instructive verses that Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu provided us. So he left this, which are sufficient for us to become Krishna conscious and go back home, back to Godhead. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is non-different from Krishna. So Antar Krishna, Bahar Radha. So again, he appears, Lord Krishna, again in Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a description, a Krishna. So he is actually not dark complexion, rather he is fair complexion, because he has that golden complexion of Radharani. So, and there is a beautiful pastime we have covered in the past. Maybe in the next class we will cover the pastimes when we cover the whole summary of Shri Sikshastakam. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is an avatar in Kali age, and he appeared to understand the sweetness, to taste the devotion, the ecstasy that Srimati Radharani is feeling. And that ecstasy, actually, he experienced when he was reciting these 8 verses as well. So as we covered the first 5 verses, so if we are looking at from the perspective of stages of bhakti, so there are 3: sadhana bhakti, which is, so as practitioner we practice sadhana bhakti with rules and regulations. Then the second level is bhava bhakti. So higher than that, one starts to develop attachment, reliance, constant dependence on the chanting, at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohanji. And then the third is prema bhakti. Here one is completely surrendered and only serves to, or survives even, to serve the Lordship for his pleasure as he wants. So these are the 3 stages of bhakti, the 3 kinds of bhakti, and first 5 verses that we covered refer to sadhana bhakti. And then next 2 that we'll be covering today, 6th and 7th verse, they refer to bhava bhakti. However, prema bhakti include these 2 verses and the 8th verse. Now we also talked about, the 3 stages of Vedic knowledge. Sambandha, our relationship with Lord Shri Krishna. So who we are, who is Lord Krishna, and what is our relationship, that is Sambandha, relationship. And Abhidheya is the process. So this is, the process is the devotional service. And how should we carry out our devotional service to serve the Lordship? So that mood and the experience have been described. And then finally is prayojana. Prayojana is the goal. So the goal is to attain love of Godhead, prema bhakti. So that is the goal. And that is, identified in the 8th verse. So what is our goal? What is that we want to become finally? And that would be perfection of life. And His Holiness Niranjan Swami states it very nicely. Chanting leads to the perfection of life. So I'm paraphrasing. So by chanting, we attain perfection of life, and the perfection of life is chanting of the holy name. And for that, all we have to do is raise our hands and chant. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. So quickly we'll cover the first 5 verses, recitation, please join me. And if you actually, Sikshastakam is given in the Songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas, this book. And as you see, no one has claimed to be the author because it has been compiled by His Holiness Achyutanand Maharaj. So he was so generous to avoid any conflict among devotees, he compiled the whole thing by collecting it while living in Mayapur. And these were released, and they become the source that even at home, when we read and sing the songs from this songs of the Vaishnava Acharyas, we are immediately transported, right? Transmigrated to Vrindavan and Mayapur. So we can relish, being right in front of the deities, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Balaram, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai, and Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundarji. We can directly be there and will be having their darshan and relishing the sweet pastime, the transcendental bliss of Lord's name, form, activities and pastimes. So these, and the mood of Radharani is, also expressed especially in the last 3 verses of Shri Sikshastakam. So please join me in the recitation of the first 5 verses, and then I'll quickly summarize what these 5 verses refer to. So actually, let's just do it one verse at a time. First verse. Cheto darpanamajanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam shayah kairav chandrika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadanam sarvatma snapnam param vijayate Shri Kṛṣṇa sankirtanam. Here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is revealing to us why we should take to the chanting of the holy name. And he is revealing 7 blessings that we get when we engage in the chanting of the holy name. And it ends with Param Vijayate Shri Kṛṣṇa Sankirtanam. So Sankirtana Yajna, which is also Yajna for the sage, is ever victorious. So it is ever glorious, it is ever victorious, it is ever purifying. And why is it so purifying has been revealed. The blessings have been identified. That why we should take to the chanting of the holy name. First of all, Cheto Darpana Majanam. It cleanses our heart so we can see who we are. And when we see in a clean heart who we are, like in a clean mirror, if we see our reflection, what do we see? Not this body, means again in the mirror of the heart we see Jivera Surupaya Kṛṣṇa Nityadas, that we are eternal servant of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. Right there he is establishing that relationship, sambandha. And so when we understand who we are living entities, and what is our constitutional position? Our constitutional position is to be an eternal servant of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. So to be a servant in the material world is a very low thing. People don't consider you anything. But to be a servant in the spiritual world is a very great thing. So he is already identifying that we recognize how great we are by recognizing the greatness of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, that he allows us to serve him, and that is the purpose, that's the very basis of our existence. The foundation of our existence is to serve Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. And have we forgotten that we are in this material world constantly in anxiety, because the material world has 2 characteristics. Dukkhalam, ashashvatam. It is never permanent, it's temporary in nature. And then dukkhalam, it is a place of misery. And not just misery. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is identifying that actually it's an ocean of misery. Janma mrityu jaravadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. So birth, death, old age and disease, these constantly occurring life after life is just making us face miseries after miseries and anxiety after anxiety, suffering after suffering, and we are not able to relish our true nature, because our true nature is Anand Bhaya Abhyasat. We are always seeking happiness. We always want to enjoy. So once Srila Prabhupada, he was asked this question, so what is the purpose of life? And he very jokingly reminded that the purpose of life is to enjoy. And to enjoy, you have to be the supreme enjoyer. So when we serve Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, then we get that transcendental bliss that Acharyas reveal,
that in the material world you cannot experience, because in the material world, the material happiness that we get, even at topmost level, at Lord Brahma's level or at Manu's level, is like a drop of water, while merging into Brahman is like a puddle of water in a calf's hoof print. No, that's not much. But in the spiritual world, when engaging in devotional service, the transcendental bliss is like an ocean. So here, how do we get relieved of these miseries of this material world? So that is Bhav Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. So the chanting of the holy name extinguishes the fire of material existence. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. So it just like, during the Shukla Paksha, as the moon reflection, is increasing overnight, the size increases of that reflection part. Similarly, it is, with the benediction of moon, just like that, our life becomes glorious and it's all shining, and we shine out like the Kumuta, white lotus that blooms at night, and we also reflect back and spread the moonshine, which is good fortune. So it brings good fortune to all living entities, and also we get to reflect it to others and share this good fortune with others. That's what it means. Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. So the transcendental knowledge is Vidya, not general Vidya, mundane knowledge is not. Once again, that transcendental knowledge has been referred by the word Vidya, Vadhu. And so Vidya is Vadhu. Vidya is the wife, so Jivanam. And what's the life and soul of wife? Is the husband. So the chanting of the holy name is the husband of the transcendental knowledge. So why should we, chant the holy name? Because by chanting of the holy name, our life is filled with the transcendental knowledge. We understand what is what and how things to be done, when they should be done, and why they should be done. The rituals are there, but if you understand the spirit behind the rituals, then they become spirituals. So yes, rituals are important, but once you understand the essence behind it, right? Means I'll give you an example. When we were children, we would go to the temple and parents would say, bow down in front of the deities. We would bow down, just following. Sometimes we'll see our parents bowing down, so we'll bow down in front of the deities. Didn't have much knowledge, but we were bowing down. Yet at the same time, as we grow, we realize, oh, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We become a little intelligent. And then we start getting instructions sometimes saying that, Lord provides you all the necessities of life. So this is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, what about the mundane necessities? The spiritual necessities are provided by the chanting of the holy name. It is samam bonam of all the Shastras. So yesterday a trick question was placed, if you can recite all the Shastras. So if you recite the samam bonam of all the Shastras, that is reciting all the Shastras, right? And all you have to do for that is raise your hand and chant out. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is merciful, and Srila Prabhupada is even more merciful. Once he was visiting Middle East, and there the devotees were saying, Srila Prabhupada, when we go out for Sankirtan, half the time we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and half the time we chant Allah's name. So which one is better? Srila Prabhupada said, don't make me sectarian. This is a non-sectarian Sanatan Dharma, eternal religion. It doesn't matter which name of God do you pray to. You are basically praying to engage and serve the Lord, right? To engage in devotional service to serve the Lord. So this is a non-sectarian. It doesn't belong to a specific group. It's not a dharohar. It's not a like a punji of Hindus only, or Muslims only, or Christians only, or Jews only, and so many others. It is common among all of them. It is beyond the aspect of religion, because it is related to our relationship with the Supreme Lord. And there are hundreds of thousands of languages in this material universe. Similarly, Lord has unlimited names, and He can understand and bless His devotees in various languages that they are speaking and praying to Him. So it is very important for us to understand. Yes, Just because someone is praying in a specific language, we don't have to change our language. We can pray in whatever language. The important aspect is the feeling, because Lord Krishna is Bhavgrahi Janatana. So, Vidya Vadu Jivanam, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So, it increases the ocean of transcendental knowledge. So again, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So it is the transcendental bliss, it's constantly increasing. And Pratipadam. So sometimes people say, okay, the knowledge is there, being bestowed, and all this transcendental bliss is there. So maybe there is just interruptions at times. No. Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. So at every step, Purna, you can fully taste the nectar of the transcendental knowledge, the transcendental bliss. Our very existence becomes purified. Sarvatma Snapanam, which is Premanand is completely pure. So this first verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is revealing, teaches us the congregational chanting of the holy names. Now the second verse is, how can one realize one's inaptitude to take up to this chanting of the holy name? So this is where, he is revealing that sometimes when we are taking such a wonderful, blessing is there, yet at the same time we are not able to take advantage. What is the reason we are not able to take advantage? And how can we take advantage? That's also revealed afterwards. So the second verse is, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadish kamaye, mama janmani Actually, sorry, this is fourth one. Second one is, Nam namakari bahuda dij sarva shaktis, tatrarpita niyamita smarnina kalaha, etadrashi tav kripa bhagavan mamapi, durdevam midrisham ihajani nanuragaha. So Lord, you have unlimited names like Krishna and Govinda, right? Nam namakari bahuda. And then you have, endowed them with all your potencies, with all your energies. Nija Sarva Shakti, Sarva Shakti. So these names are, filled with, they can bestow all kind of blessings because they have this Lord's potencies. Yet at the same time, I am so fallen, I am in such a conditioned state that I do not have the taste. And why is this case? So that has been also revealed by the Acharyas. That is because of the conditioning, the dust on the mirror is because of the various fruitive activities, the samskaras that we have collected in engaging in fruitive activities in this material condition, in this material universe, in many, many births, millions of births. So once we start to chant, right? So in the beginning when we chant, there are some offenses happening. We are inattentive, we don't pay attention, we sometimes, try to measure the potency of the holy name. We try to, tell others that, this is the way to do it, while we ourselves do not know. So many other factors are there. In the beginning, the offenses are happening. So that offenses are accumulating, and sometimes people are scared, oh, offenses are happening, I should stop chanting because I don't want to accumulate more offenses. Well, how do you get rid of the offenses? By attentively chanting. So take to attentive chanting. So Naam Prabhu, he is so merciful, and we all know, Rāma se bada Rāma ka naam, right? So he is more merciful than the personality himself. So if somebody offended Lord Kṛṣṇa, we know all the demons, when they try to offend Lord Kṛṣṇa, before even giving the introduction, many of them were killed. Yet at the same time, Lord's holy name is even more merciful, because by inattentive chanting, by offensive chanting, sometimes that offenses that we have accumulated, by doing the same process attentively, we can remove those offenses. Such a simple process. And the potency is that it purifies our life, like the 7 blessings we just covered. So how can we chant? What is the solution? How can we develop the mood for chanting? So that is being revealed in the third verse. Tranadapi sunichena taroravi sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So by, in the mood of considering ourselves to be lower than the blade of grass on the street, more tolerant than the tree, not expecting any respect for ourselves, but ready to give all respect to others. In that mood, we can chant constantly. We can do Sankirtan eternally. So that is the mood. And now comes the fourth verse. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadish kamaye, mama janmani janmanishware, bhavatad bhaktir ahetuki tvai. So here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying that I do not desire higher birth, na janam, na dhanam, I do not desire great wealth, na sundarim, I do not desire women. Why? Because opposite sex. So basically, attracted to opposite sex or attraction of opposite sex. Kavitam va jagadish kame. And I do not want to engage in any of the fruitive activities which have been so nicely explained in the Vedas, in a flowery language. Kamaye, Isha kame. And mama janmani janmanishware. And what do we desire? That please, life after life, birth after birth. It doesn't matter that I am born in this material world, but please engage me in your devotional service. And what do we asking as a remuneration, as our wages, as a salary, is that please give me bhagavatat bhaktir ahetuki tvai. Unmotivated, unalloyed, pure. Hetu means there is an intention, right? There's a context. Ahetuki, so completely unmotivated. That's why we also sing ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasiddhati. So when you engage in devotional service without any motivation and constantly, regularly, so that regulated manner is very important, without interruption, then it fully satisfies our very self. That's why this ahetuki tvai, of whose? Lord Krishna's devotional service. So engaging in Sankirtan Yajna to satisfy Lord Krishna, to serve Lord Krishna, we are seeking this. So the mood has been explained here, that why should we not desire wealth, why should we not desire higher birth, why should we not desire attraction from the opposite sex or engagement in fruitive activities? Because all of these bind us. Right? And this binding causes us to fall down. So this is our conditioned state. We want to rise above the conditioned state, but we want to keep, ourselves still immersed in that state. So yes, we are saying, okay, take my hand, but that is not the right approach if we are looking for any of these. And Queen Kunti, in her prayer, she reveals that why these are very dangerous. Janmeshwarya shutashi bhir edhumana madha puman Nevarhatya vidhatum vai tvam akinchana gocharam. Janm Aishwarya Shuta Shibhi. So higher birth. Aishwarya is, opulence, wealth, riches. Shuta, knowledge, becoming very knowledgeable, highly scholarly. And Shibhir, becoming very beautiful, handsome, attractive. All these four qualities, any of these four qualities somebody has, they may become intoxicated, right? Because of the pride, because of the glorification, the recognition they are getting. Edmana madhapuman. So they are completely intoxicated, and with that madness caused by such intoxication, they cannot approach the Lordship. And Lordship is easily approached as one who is materially exhausted. Akinchana gocharam. The one who is easily approached by one who is materially exhausted. So materially exhausted but spiritually rich. So we are seeking those riches, in the spiritual world. And these riches are devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So yes, Loka Prema Dhana Harinama Sankirtana. So these riches are in the form of Harinam Sankirtan. And Harinam Sankirtan can be not just doing the Kirtan, singing the song along with the devotees, but also sharing the glorification of the holy name. just like we are all doing here. So this is Harinam Sankirtan. And now that we understand the mood, then what do we desire in this mood? What is desire? So here in the 5th verse, again within the Sambandha Gyan itself, where we are establishing, and we are also, as a sadhaka, we should be praying this. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam vishme bhavam buddho kripaya tadapad pankaja stita dhuli sadrisham vichintaya. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram. So, O my Lord, O Kṛṣṇa, O son of Nanda Maharaj, I am your eternal servant, kinkaram. So we are calling out that we are his eternal servant. And servant, what does the servant wants to do? Wants to serve the master. So we are calling out with that mood. But we are also understanding that we don't have attraction, we don't have the right mood, yet at the same time we are seeking to develop that mood, the right way to serve the Lordship for his pleasure. Anukulena Kṛṣṇanushīlanam. So we are saying our lowly condition, right? That because of our own fruitive acts, because of our making wrong choices, we have been conditioned and we are suffering in this ocean of naissance, the ocean of darkness. And especially in this Kali age, it's an ocean of faults also, right, on top of all those aspects. So we are saying that please, causelessly, without any reason, please, be merciful to us. And just consider me, pick me up and place me as a dust particle, as an atom of dust at your lotus feet. Now here, there is a very nice significance given. Lord Kṛṣṇa, when we are calling out him as Nanda Tanuja, son of Nanda Maharaj. And there is a very beautiful pastime in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam where Nanda Maharaj, he had entered Yamuna waters along with other cowherd men to break the fast. So before breaking the fast, people take bath. So he had entered the waters to take bath, but it was inauspicious time on Dwadashi. So because it was inauspicious time, one of the servant of Varuna, the demigods of the waters, he captured Nand Maharaj and he took Nand Maharaj to the abode of Varuna, where he was kept. And now Varuna, he kept Nand Maharaj because of course this was a good reason for him to be able to see Lord Kṛṣṇa. So Lord Kṛṣṇa, when the cowherd men, they came out, elderly cowherd men, they informed that Nand Maharaj has, he has drowned in the waters. At that time, Lord Kṛṣṇa went to Varun Dev's abode. He knew where his father is. And Varun Dev worshipped Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, and Nand Maharaj was so surprised. He was in ecstasy to see Kṛṣṇa, yet he was surprised that Varun Dev is, the demigod of the waters. He is worshipping Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, and he is asking for forgiveness for having taken Nand Maharaj, who is father of Lord Kṛṣṇa, because of his, not so intelligent servant, because of the servant's less intelligence. Yet at the same time, this pastime where Lord Kṛṣṇa rescues Nand Maharaj from the waters, having entered the waters at inauspicious time, we have also entered this material ocean, and the moment that we entered must be very inauspicious, because from that moment all our good fortune ended and we got entangled in this conditioned life. Yes. So here this mood has been exemplified. So these 5 verses establish Sambandha Gyan. And Sambandha Gyan, when we establish this Sambandha Gyan to understand what is our relationship with Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, and as sadhakas we engage in the chanting of the holy name, all we have to do is do offenseless chanting. And what to talk about offenseless chanting, just having the desire to chant offenselessly can be paramount. So there is a beautiful story coming in the Shastras where there was a rich trader And all his life he was very miserly. He did not take to devotional service. So he was near the last moment of his life. He was about to die, and he called his servant. He said, you know what? These devotees of Kṛṣṇa, they chant this holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. So they go out on chanting, and I have heard from them the instruction that by taking to the process of chanting, one can be delivered in this very life. So please go to the market and get me one Tulsi Mala. So now Tulsi Mala has been also glorified. Why? Because when we are in touch with Tulsi Mala, she is a pure devotee of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So we are directly in touch with the pure devotee of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, and we are asking mercifully for her to bless us with the pure chanting, Shuddhanam. So we are constantly praying to her by holding her as we chant from beat to beat. So he desires to have that. And so the servant was shocked. He said, my dear master, you never took to chanting. You have never done this. Do you really want to? He said, yes, I have a very strong desire to chant on Tulsi beads. So the servant, understanding the desire of his master, gladly ran to the marketplace to find, to get a japa beads, to get Tulsi beads for his master. But by the time he returned, his master had already died. But there was an important incident happened. So as this, trader was, at the last moment of his life, at the moment of death, what happened? Well, we know from Ajamils, if you have not taken to devotional service, if you have not nullified your karmas and akarmas accounts, then who appear? Yamdutas appear. So Yamdutas appear. They are ready to take him to Yamlok. But at the same time, other personalities appear. Who are these personalities? They have four-arm form. They are holding conch, shell, gada, padma, So lotus flower, club, conch and chakra, wheel. And so they are surprised, but they happen to have seen these personalities previously in Ajamil's pastime. So they said, no. This trader, he did not chant the holy name. We know Ajamil called out that he chanted the holy name, so you stopped us from taking him, but he has not yet chanted the holy name. So at that time, the Vishnu Dutas, these are Vishnu Dutas, they are saying that actually last time when Ajamil chanted the holy name, we stopped you from taking him, but we didn't take him ourselves, we gave him second chance. And he understood the message, that was the conversation we had, so he took to the devotional service. He took to the chanting as well as engaged in devotional service, and then he was able to go back home. But this man, he had a strong desire to chant the holy name. Even though he has not chanted, the glories of the holy name is so big that we are not going to give him second chance. We are directly taking him to Vaikuntha. And that was shocking to Yamdutas, right? Means they were like thinking, wait a minute, he has not even chanted, he just had the desire. But Lord is so merciful, holy name is so merciful, that even when you desire with pure heart, now this is very important, with pure heart you have this desire to serve him, to chant the holy name. That itself is so glorious that we can get delivered. What to talk about chanting of the holy name? Attentively. And with this thought, please raise your hands and join me in chanting Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. So we may forget our relationship, but Lord Kṛṣṇa never forgets his relationship with us. He is so merciful. So this causeless mercy in the 5th verse refers to that mercy that he doesn't have a cause. He understands our heart, his bhav grahi janadana. And once he understands the heart of his devotees, who may completely be in forgetfulness, but if the heart is pure, has a strong feeling to serve him, he gives us that opportunity. And for such opportunity, he sends in our life a devotee to enlighten us. Yes, a guru, a bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession. And we always see that Devashi Narad, he appears at the right time, at the right place for the right person. Yet at the same time, the right person has such a strong feeling to get the blessings. And even sometimes there are battle of the sages, right? With Daksha, there are some battles going on of Devashi Narad. So they are even glorious because even just by being present, by his presence, he unknowingly to the personalities revealed the right way of serving Lord Kṛṣṇa. Sometimes people have their own ways that this is how I want to serve Lord Kṛṣṇa. And then a devotee appears and creates all kind of hurdles in that path. So they realize, oh, sometimes, if they're intelligent, they realize, oh, this is not the path I should be serving Lord Kṛṣṇa. There is a better way to serve Lord Kṛṣṇa. And then Lord Kṛṣṇa within the heart, with the light of knowledge, drives away the darkness of ignorance, revealing to a devotee in the way he wants to be served. So we can take to devotion service. Now coming to today's 2 verses. Now these 2 verses are at that higher level of bhava bhakti. So there are a lot of emotions in these 2 verses, and they directly related to our original nature, anand bhaya abhyasat. So all living entities are seeking happiness. So here, even though in the 5th verse we transition, is from devotees transition from servant state to slave state. Now the slave state is where no remuneration is being sought. The only pleasure is to serve, serve, serve. Yet at the same time, sometimes people misunderstand this, right? They say, okay, if one is serving, that means they're serving us as well. And they even mistake great personalities like Hanuman and others to be their order suppliers. Rather, the mood of a devotee, we should take to the mood that we should be the order supplier. We should be taking the orders from Lord Kṛṣṇa and supplying him all the necessities that he is seeking. So again, for his pleasure, we should be dovetailing our life, not crowtailing. We should be dovetailing in a very nice, in a very rhythmic, in harmony with the nature, with the devotees, and doing it in the association of devotees paramount. So association of devotees have been, again, this is not Kirtan Yajna, it is Sankirtan Yajna, it's congregational chanting of the holy name. And when even 2 people, they gather together to glorify, to sing the glories of the Lord, it is Sankirtan Yajna. So we should always seek the association of devotees. And when we are chanting on the beads, we have the association of the pure devotee, right? Tulsi Maharani, we are chanting on the Tulsi beads. So it is purifying. She is helping us on our process. She is like a mother whose finger we are holding, and she is taking us on a journey back home, back to the Godhead. So now comes the 6th and 7th verses, which are in the Bhav Bhakti. And this is where the mood of devotion, how we should be desiring, how we should be praying. So there are a lot of questions being raised in the 6th verse. And now the realizations are sometimes bewildering, but have been realized in the 7th verse. So let's cover the 6th verse. Please chant with me. Nayanam galad ashru dharya vadanam gadgad rudhya gira pulkair nichitam vapuh kada tava nam grahane bhavishyati. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his full ecstasy is singing and experiencing this, that, oh my dear Lord, when will my eyes be beautified, right? So sometimes in this material world, people think, oh, eyes beautified means you have to put kajal and the eyeliners and a lot of makeup. But no, the beautification is by filling with tears. And these tears are of bliss, the transcendental bliss of happiness, not of pain, not of fear, not of agony. So these are tears of love, of bhav, that attachment that we have developed, that asakti and that ruchi that we have developed. Because our faith has become very strong, it's nishtha, we have already crossed that level. We have already crossed the ruchi level, we had that asakti coming to the bhav level, so that bhav is coming. And constantly glide down as I chant your holy name. So when will our eyes be filled with tears, constantly gliding down, from our eyes to the cheeks as we are chanting the holy name. So this is and this is of bliss. So the tears are of love, these tears are of bhav, these tears are of affection, these tears of being attracted to the Lord's name. Now sometimes People say, how could you get attracted to Lord Krishna by name? Well, we have experience in this material world. When we say a name of someone we love or we know very well, immediately by saying the name, we are reminded of that person. The image appears in our mind. So we are immediately able to perceive the name form characteristics of the person. So similarly, when we chant the holy name, we are immediately, actually it is recommended by the acharyas that we should immediately be able to think of the name, form, activities, pastimes and his paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is how we should be constantly chanting, remembering the Lord, right? And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying, then when will my eyes be filled with tears? These are tears of joy, these are tears of love, that I am able to see you, right? Yet at the same time, when you have tears in your eyes, you cannot see. So it is in your heart that you are, perceiving. When will my voice falter? Again, when does the voice falter? When we are in anxiety, when we are being tortured. But it is not that. It is because of love. Sometimes we see someone after a long time and we are so much filled with emotions that we are not able to speak out, right? Even we are not able to speak. So that moment of great ecstasy, so it is referring to the ecstatic symptoms. When will these ecstatic symptoms? And when will all the hairs in my body stand up? It is not the standing of hair when you are faced with a lion face to face. No. It's not in a fearful state. It is the standing of hair because of ecstasy, because of this transcendental bliss. And so this has been, expressed that at the Bhav Bhakti level, the devotee desires. Now, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in the purpose, he has also revealed that one should be very careful not to imitate. We have to follow the instructions. We have to not do, there are two ways of following. One is Anukaran and second is Anusharan. Anukaran is imitating the actions of a great, soul. So that is imitation. That is Parakra Sahajiya's mentality. Right? We don't want to do that. That is not favorable. That is actually causing fall down, because then our mood is not of serving Lord Shri Krishna, or rather our mood becomes of getting name, fame and glories and recognition from others. This reminds me of an incident that in Vrindavan, when Srila Prabhupada was there with the devotees, there was a devotee who had come to Vrindavan and he was chanting 64 rounds daily. And so the devotees, they came, and in one of the morning walks, they were discussing this with Srila Prabhupada. They said that he wants to constantly chant throughout the day 64 rounds. So Srila Prabhupada did not pay much attention at that time. And then afterwards, as they added that actually he wants to live in the tree. He is, trying to perform so much austerity. Srila Prabhupada said the moment he wants, it's all finished, it's useless. Because he could understand the essence of the devotee, that the devotee was not really engaged in chanting, rather he was seeking name, fame and glories, recognition by other devotees, and to be glorified as a great devotee. While in reality, acharyas reveal that the greater one becomes, the humbler and the more invisible he becomes to the other arena. So that's where one is constantly preaching, constantly chanting, constantly engaged in devotional service, but not really seeking recognition from others. We have two wonderful examples, right? We talked about Srila Namacharya Haridas Thakur, as how once hearing Lord's glories, the ecstatic symptoms appeared and the crowd gathered around him. So he immediately, controlled himself and walked away from that place, because he doesn't want that glorification. And another example is of Madhvendra Puri. So we know about this pastime where Lord Gopinath, when Madhvendra Puri, he saw Lord Gopinath was being given bhoga, honored with bhoga of kheer, right? He had this desire, if I could taste it, then I would make it for my Gopalji deity. And then he saw, oh, what a big offense I have committed. I want to taste before the Lord has tasted. He immediately walked out of the temple. But Lord, he understood that he didn't want to taste it for himself. He wanted to taste so that he could cook the sheer preparation for bhoga for Gopalji in Vrindavan. So he stole one pot of sheer, and in the dream of one of the pujaris who had offered, he came, and Lordship came, Lord Gopinath came, and he said that, go to the marketplace, and I have kept this pot of sheer hidden behind a curtain, so you'll find this, and go and call out to Madhavendra Puri, a pure devotee of mine, and give it to him. So the pujari was shocked that Lord himself, kept one pot of sheer for this devotee. So he went, when he opened the door, he found that pot of sheer where Lordship in the dream had revealed that he had kept. So he took this and he went to the marketplace calling out, is there someone by the name Madhavendra Puri? Is there someone by the name Madhavendra Puri? And then Srila Madhavendra Puri, he immediately came and he said, yes, I am Madhavendra Puri. What is it? He said, Lord Gopinath kept this pot of sheer for you. So Madhavendra Puri was in ecstasy that Lord is so merciful. So he took that pot, and now the pujari, he was glorifying Madhavendra Puri as he was returning back to the temple, and Madhavendra Puri realized that if he stayed there, at Renuka, at this place, overnight, in the morning, there will be a big gathering that people would say, oh, who is this Madhavendra Puri? That Lord Gopinath himself stole a pot of sheer. So from that day, the deity is also known as Sheer Chora, because he stole a pot of sheer for Madhavendra Puri. So Madhavendra Puri, he immediately left that place because he does not want the name, fame and glories. And when he went to Jagannath Puri, of course, bad news spread like fire, good news spread like wildfire. So again, his fortune, his glories had already preceded him and had reached Jagannath Puri. So when he reached Jagannath Puri and expressed that he has he was on a mission to get Chandan, Gopi Chandan for Lord Gopinath, and so there the devotees, they loaded him, and there was so much samagri that he was also given 2 servants to carry all that samagri back to Vrindavan. But at the same time, Lord appeared in his dream, Madhavendra Puri, Srila Madhavendra Puri's dream, to tell that you apply to Lord Gopinath and I will receive the cooling effect through that process. So the deities, they are non-different. Also that glories have been identified. Vishnu Tattvas, when they are there, they are non-different. So when Lord resides in the deity form, they are non-different from one deity to another. Sometimes we get attracted to a deity, yes, that is very nice, because it is enabling us to get that attention that we seek, right? It's enabling us to have that absorption in the name, form, activities, pastimes by remembering a specific deity form. And so we start developing an attachment. So when we have home deities, we start becoming attached to the deities. We want to serve them. We want to be more. And then Srila Prabhupada said that even though in the temple we see, Radha Kṛṣṇa deities, we should be worshipping them as Lakshmi Narayan with awe and reverence. So that is also caution being provided by the acharyas. So by building all this attachment or attraction to the name, form, activities, pastimes of the Lord increases, and finally it gets into that bhava stage where we are we are filled with affection towards the deities, towards the Lordship, and the Sankirtan Yajna, congregational chanting. So in this way, once again, it has been identified here, and now comes the 7th verse. So here we are seeing that the prayers in the 6th verse are about questioning, when will my eyes be filled with love, so that I would start having these tears flowing down my cheeks, and when will my body start shaking, Gadgada Ruddhya Gira, and when will my hair stand on its end. So this is all for transcendental bliss. When will I experience the transcendental bliss? Symptoms. When will I experience these symptoms, which are caused by the transcendental bliss, which are caused by the ecstasy. And in the 7th, that blessing comes into effect. Yet at the same time, if someone is not, paying attention to them, it looks like a very difficult situation. So let's cover the 7th verse. Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha pavrashayitam shunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. My dear Lord Govinda, because of separation from you, virahena me, because I am separated from you, I consider even a moment a great millennium. So even a moment appears as a great millennium. And sometimes this has been translated as 12 years or more, which also comes from Gopis references. So there are other scriptures along with Srimad Bhagavatam where a moment appears as 12 years or more, and a 12 years long duration or even a millennium appears like a moment in the company of Lord Krishna. So that's the relativity of time. We knew about the relative nature of time much before Einstein even expressed his theory of time relativity. So here, what are the symptoms that are occurring? Because of the separation at Vipralambha Bhava. Now this is Gopi's Bhava, okay? So this is Vipralambha Bhava, is in the mood of separation. And this Bhava has been showed by the Goswamis, the 6 Goswami, Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasar Raghunath Goswamis in Vrindavan when they were residing under the instructions, following the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And they were calling out, looking at the trees, looking at the birds, looking at the various places where Lord Krishna had performed pastimes, that, oh my dear Krishna, where are you? Oh Radharani, where are you? They were constantly searching for them. And so they wrote beautiful, beautiful prayers in that mood of Vipralambha Bhava. That Bhava, Bhakti and the Prema Bhakti as they were experiencing, they were expressing them in words, so that when we read those, writings by the Sadgoswamis, then we can, go back in time to their time and understand and get that glimpse, through the vision, through their words. We get the vision of the spiritual world. So those are windows. And the paintings that, Srila Prabhupada instructed his disciples to, paint. There were many great painters, and there are still many great painters who are painting based on the prescribed instructions of Srila Prabhupada. These are spiritual windows, Srila Prabhupada said, to the spiritual world. So these are windows to the spiritual world. So even a moment appears as great as a millennium, and the eyes seem to have become like clouds, and these are rainy clouds, and just like this torrential rain falls from the clouds, similarly the tears are falling like torrential rain from the eyes. And Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam, and the whole world appears like void because of the absence of Lord Krishna. So here this affection, this bhava is becoming very strong. So this is in the bhava bhakti stage. One is engaged in devotional service prayojana, in this right mood, with that right attitude, as to serve Lord Krishna and constantly searching to serve and finding ways to serve. When somebody hears this, it is very difficult if one has not, experienced it, right? And there is a perverted reflection in this material world. When we see, then we can relate to this. Sometimes there is a boy and girl, young boys and girls, they fall in love with each other. It's a material love, so it's like lust, because it is for their own sense enjoyment, right? That they are seeking each other's company. Yet at the same time, we have seen these stages that in the absence of the beloved, the lover feels great, separation, that vipralambha. And in that separation, even a moment becomes unbearable. And so that expression, when dovetailed in the direction of Lord Krishna, where Lord Krishna is the beloved, and we as lovers are engaging in serving him, yet at the same time feeling separation when we chant the holy name, the effect would be that the whole world in the absence of Lord Krishna would appear shunya, void, null. And so to be able to not feel that null feeling, we take to the chanting of the holy name, so that we understand that this is with the chanting of the holy name these feelings are coming. How could you be in the presence of your lover and feeling? This can be another question. How could you feel that, right? So there is a beautiful pastime of Srimati Radharani. So once it just so happened that Srimati Radharani and Lord Kṛṣṇa, they were on a swing, right? And the Gopa boys, they were, pushing the swing, and they were swinging very nicely. Madhu Mangal saw that there is a big bumblebee which is like, flying around and could be disturbing Radha Krishna, Shri Radha Krishna. So he, using his cloth, he, scared that bumblebee away. And now he started shouting that I have driven Pitambar away, right? And Pitambar also happens to be the name of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Radharani is sitting right next to Lord Kṛṣṇa, right? Yet at the same time, she is so much meditating on this verse of Madhu Mangal, she feels that Madhu Mangal has driven Lord Kṛṣṇa away, and she becomes extremely sad. So sad, as if she is crying, she is completely morose, she becomes very, very sad. And Lord Kṛṣṇa, seeing her this mood, is shocked that he is present right there, and in his presence she is experiencing separation. How could that be? So this verse reflects that mode, that when we are chanting the holy name in a bhava bhakti stage, the tears, the torrential, just like torrential rains, they are gliding out from our eyes, and we are finding every moment to be as great as long as millennium. It's unbearable. That's what it's reflecting. And that we are finding this world to be shunya. There is nothing worth living in this world. That is the mood. So the only mood is to serve the Lordship, and this is where the devotee from servant to slave, now from slave to puppet state comes. That where puppet only wants to dance on the pull of the string, and without the pull on the string, without that presence, without that impetus, is completely feeling separation. So this is where we have, we hear full surrender has been experienced. So it's been propagated. And if you are cool, you would understand the 6 limbs of surrender. And what are the 6 limbs of surrender? Is the cool mantra. We also call it the cool mantra. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati vishwaso gopatitve varnam tadha atmanikshepa karpanya shadvidha sharanagati. Sharanagati is surrender. So what are the 6 limbs of surrender? Anukulyasya sankalpa. So you accept everything that is favorable for devotion service. Pratikulyasya varjanam. Pratikul is unfavorable things. So you reject everything that is unfavorable to devotion service. Rakshishyati vishwaso. Understanding that Lord is our supreme protector. He will protect us in all conditions of life. At every stage, at every moment, we should just need to take shelter of His lotus feet, which simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. Gopatitve varnam tatha, accepting Lord's guardianship, His shelter. He is the only shelter that we have. So accepting that, our life and soul. Atmanikship, and surrendering everything for His pleasure. Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam. Everything should be done, all our acts. And even at the battlefield, Arjuna was given this. Mam asmaran yuddhacha. Remembering me, get up and fight. He is instructing Arjuna. So whatever activities we are doing, whatever we are offering, everything should be made as an offering to Lord Shri Krishna. Anukulena Krishna, as favorable to Lord Krishna as He desires. We should not do, nonsense act and then say, okay, this is offered to you, Lordship. No, we should be doing activities, all the right activities to please Lord Krishna, and even based on our prescribed duties. So our Swadharma is prescribed duties. So again, we follow our Swadharma, our prescribed duties, with the focus as an offering to Lord Krishna. So that is where our Swadharma, our prescribed duties, become aligned with our constitutional positions, and we achieve this alignment, which leads to acceleration in our spiritual journey. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is talking about this particular verse where he is saying that the ecstatic symptoms of envy, great eagerness, humility, zeal and supplication all manifest at once. in the person of Srimati Radharani. So now we are coming very close to the mood of Radharani as how she is serving. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appeared just to experience that mood, and that mood has been expressed in the 8th verse, Prayojana, where we understand the Shuddha Bhakti stage, the Prema Bhakti stage. So he felt like Radharani, and so he engaged in the chanting. So again, these aspects have also been glorified by the Acharyas, and also been identified that why is the importance of taking to Diksha. Diksha is initiation, devotional service. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is revealed why one should take to Diksha. Why should one take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master? Diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpan, se kale Kṛṣṇa tare kare atma samam. At the time of initiation, when a devotee fully surrenders to the service of the Lord, Lord Kṛṣṇa accepts him to be as good as himself. Now, Lord Kṛṣṇa accepts him to be as good as himself because qualitatively we are one, and now we are aligned as well. We want to serve him as we are his servants and he is our master, and that is the proper alignment of our position. So he is welcoming, he is ready to embrace us if we are initiated and we are serving with the right mood. And this has further been, glorified and asserted by Srila Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha. Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat Kuryat Papasya Sankashyam Tasmad Diksheti Saprokta Deshikas Tattva Kovidahe. By Diksha, one gradually becomes disinterested in material enjoyment and gradually becomes interested in spiritual life. So the first 5 verses where the sadhana bhakti has been identified, one starts engaging and progressing on the path to come to the level of bhava bhakti that we discussed today. And this is where we are ending this class, where one coming to this stage, finally the Prayojana and pure bhakti includes these 2 verses along with the 8th verse. So please stay tuned for the 8th verse. It is the mood of Radharani and her pastimes that we will be discussing in the next class. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Please join us for little Harinam. And the simple process is chanting of the holy name, the congregational chanting. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Krishna Krishna Hare Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Hare Krishna.